Today, Panasonic has unveiled new firmware for the Lumix S5II and the S5IIX, and this update yet again adds new features to these cameras. So getting straight into it, firmware version 3.1 for the Lumix S5II and version 2.1 for the Lumix S5IIX will add a whole host of new features to the Realtime Lot function. If you're familiar with how Realtime Lot works within the Lumix S9, then you'll probably know what I'm about to say. With this firmware update, you will now be able to stack two LUTs at once and change the intensity of each LUT individually. This makes the Realtime Lot function so much more powerful, and I recommend stacking your preferred Rec 709 LUT with a Look LUT to get great looking footage in camera without the need of color grading. You can also use this function when shooting stills as well, so if you like the idea of getting great looking JPEGs in camera, then you can load in any LUT and do just that. In fact, you can even load in my new digital film presets. The pack comes with the .cube files that can be loaded into your camera, and then your days of editing every single photo after the fact will be a thing of the past. Of course, you can still shoot both JPEG and RAW simultaneously, so you can still, make the most of the flexibility of that RAW file, while also getting great looking JPEGs for a quicker and easier turnaround. You will also be able to assign an FN button to Realtime Lot as well, making it much easier to jump into the function without rummaging through your menu. Another cool addition is the Leica Monochrome color profile, and this has already been seen a few times within the Micro Four Thirds cameras such as the G9 II and the GH7. It's a solid black and white picture profile that's synonymous with that classic Leica black and white punchiness. This new firmware also introduces compatibility with the Lumix Lab App, so you'll be able to utilize all of the features that were previously only accessible for Lumix S9 and GH7 owners. This includes photo transfer from your camera to your phone, LUT transfer direct to your camera, and the app itself will be getting an update to allow remote shooting and remote shutter release, just like we saw with the old Lumix Sync app. It seems that Panasonic are one step closer to completely decommissioning the Lumix Sync app to make room for this newer and better app. And as that transition comes full circle, the Lumix Lab app will become the one-stop shop for everything to do with camera control and transfer. Along with this app compatibility, the S5II and S5IIX will also get the 5 GHz Wi-Fi frequency option, and this makes total sense considering the features that will now be available with Lumix Lab. The final feature to be introduced with this new firmware package is the compatibility with the newly released DMW XLR2. So now you can use the latest XLR microphone adapter, but there is a caveat to that. Unfortunately, you won't be able to utilize the 32-bit float function, so really the biggest selling point of the new adapter can't be realized with your S5II or your S5IIX, and that is a shame. However, I would recommend picking up the XLR2 module over the XLR1 for the extra 3.5mm jack input and for future-proofing purposes. So again, Panasonic unveiled yet another firmware update that wasn't just routine bug fixes, and instead they continued to give their cameras more functions for the end user. And this really is one of the biggest selling points of the brand in my opinion. This is the second firmware update for these cameras within the last 6 months, and I don't know of any other camera brand that continuously improves their camera lineup as much as Lumix does. In fact, today Panasonic has also announced new firmware for the Lumix S9, and again it vastly improves the camera, so much so they actually think it makes it way more attractive for the people that weren't on board to start off with. And if you'd like to know more about those updates, you can go ahead and watch this video next.